came in here and I read chapter 3, Headless Talk. Day 3, 11 Days of Remembrance. Chapter 3, We all wish to be pilots. The heavy Lancaster bomber rattles as it lay off the tarmac, and aircrew brace themselves for the inevitable lift of their stomachs as takeoff. As the crews leave England behind, the farewell committee salutes them, and another bomber powers up to follow. It's dusk, and the tops of the clouds are on fire with the setting sun. Below, the island of Britain is already shrouded in darkness. Blackout curtains are tightly drawn in every room of everyone's house, and what vehicles are on the road are driving blind without lanterns or streetlights. The land looks like nothing more than a black rock surrounded by shifting shades of the ocean. That date is February 2nd, 1945, and the heavily defended target of tonight's raid is West-Berlin, Germany. The bomber's dream is facing increased anti-aircraft fire, powerful searchlights, and countless enemy fighters. Stream shows on the faces of the crew, and stress tightens their every nerve as the Lancaster turns thunders to drop zone, swept along in the mist of a stream like a fish in a strong current. One of the crew is Flying Officer William Billy Andrews McLean, born in Toronto on January 10th, 1920. Billy grew up during the Roaring Twenties and suffered the restraints of the Hunger 30s. His pre-war job was in an aircraft assembly plant, and was there that Billy began to dream of being a pilot. In 1941, he enlisted in the RCAF in the hopes of filling in his dream. The competition was fierce, and soon that everyone who enlisted in the Air Force wanted to be a pilot. Billy out-understood the person to whom he was not taking through control air front to the Visitor. Billy loved to listen to the stories of the dog fights from World War One and the tales of the heroes already emerging from World War II. He knew that name pilots were making a mark in the European skies, and he longed to be among them. And now here he is, 25 years old, and flying his fifth sorry as skipper and captain of a four-engine Lancaster. His crew is still considered green without the 15 missions needed to increase their odds of survival. By the time their kite approved the bombing site, the target already half the smoke is filling in the air. Previous loads finding fast-runners drop zone for the incoming wave of bombs, black to doom and bursting with flashes of red and puffs of smoke. German searchlights are combing the darkness, their brightness so intense that they immediately blind the pilots of the Allied planes. When a searchlight finds a bomber, it stays with it. Other searchlights then hone in, illuminating the plane so that the anti-aircraft artillery can shoot it out of the sky. This procedure is called coning, and once a plane is subject to it, a bomber pilot has mere seconds to try to throw the lights off its track. If the bomber is in the wrong position for flat turns or making dramatic moves, it becomes a sitting duck. Even with a quick response. Only rarely do bombers manage to escape the anti-aircraft fire completely once the lights have marked them. A searchlight and can continue her sky. Billy takes the bomber off a final dive. Once the bomb load is released, he keeps the kite level long enough to allow for the original photographers and then pulls up and away. Suddenly, the searchlight behind the Lancaster and the kite is caught in the air like a deer caught in the glare of headlights. Temporarily blinded by the bright blue light, Haley is unable to make the maneuvers and corkscrews that are necessary to break the light contact. The crew holds their breath as the interior of the metal mammoth grows in the several illumination from below. There seems to be a short pause, and then a violent explosion rocks the kite. Flak has formed its mark, exploding wing and sending fuel flames and debris in every direction. As if in slow motion, the Lancaster hangs there for a moment, then slips backwards and sideways as it begins its descent to the hard earth below. The bombardier climbs up from his position below to give assurance to anyone still alive. The wounded Lancaster is pitching and spinning out of control towards the ground, throwing around everything and everyone not strapped down. Flak is still booming and banging, and shrapnel from the bomber wing flying everywhere. A large piece of red-hot metal shoots into the cockpit, immediately itself in the floor between Billy's feet and the rudder bar. Billy ignores the burning metal and continues to fight with all his strength to right the wounded aircraft, putting the inventive knowledge of the workings of the heavy into play. The maneuvers to slow the spiral, but only long enough to give the crew a few extra minutes while Billy struggles with the controls. The bombardier grabs a jacket, flat, flat jacket where wireless with a growing chunk of metal, trying to extract it from the body of the kite. All of a sudden, the flat jacket catches fire, burning in the bombardier's hands. He continues to beat back the flames in the cockpit, but it's obvious that his efforts are useless. The end result is unbearable. The kite is toast, but Billy knows that if he can fight the downward spiral for long enough, he can buy time for crew to bail out. The fire in the cockpit is handling him, but allowing the bombardier to continue fighting the fire as he shortening the man's chance for survival, realizing he can't permit a member of his crew to sacrifice his life for a lost cause. Billy orders the bombardier to leave the fire and save himself. The bombardier reluctantly follows orders. Billy doesn't want to die, but he cannot live at the expense of his crew. He remains at the controls as the flames lick his boots and order the rest of the men to abandon the aircraft. The crew members who are still able to move scramble to the escape hatches. The ground is rapidly approaching, and no one knows if the window of escape has already passed them by. Before mid-upper gunner leaves through the front hatch, he noticed the Billy boots and jump and completely in flames. Yet, desperate, the skipper remains focused, still fighting to keep the kite steady by pulling the nose high as he can so that as many crew members as possible have the chance to bail out. As he jumps to safety, the mid-upper gunner knows that the pilot's opportunity to save himself has already come and gone. Billy is quickly beginning injured in flames. Eventually, the rumbling of a wounded bomber down out is against cries. Ready to bail out, the bombardier whistles the honorable form of a flight engineer. He lights the flight engineer parachute with hands so burned that they hardly functional and turn to drag the man out of the escape hatch with him. The cockpit is now fully engulfed, but the skipper, who as a ball of flames, is still at the stick, manning whatever control possible as the aircraft lunges to its demise. Suddenly there is another blast, and the bombardier is hit in the stomach by an object. The force of the blow throws him through the hatch and out of the aircraft. Moments later, suspended by his parachute, he watches what is left of the Lancaster plummeting to the earth and exploding on impact. A merciful quick ending to what must have been an agonizing experience for Billy McLean, the bombardier who is one the only two crew members to make it out of Lancaster alive, knows that he has Billy to thank for his life. Many ordinary Canadians fight, fight to be pilots, so soar above the clouds to be free of the earth. Some wanted the glory, others thrill of adventure, and most wanted this extraordinary expression chose to be heroes. That's the end of chapter 3, and I thank them for um, them for what they did so I could be free to make these videos. And I dedicate these videos to the people fighting in Ukraine. Keep up the fight, and hopefully your war will end, and may you have freedom. And thank you for the freedom so I can read this book. And if you see a veteran, thank them and have a coffee with them.